Well, you know, what is the thing that I put in
55515.
Right, 2 or 3 companies. 10.
Okay,
10. Well, that's the introduction. We're going to go ahead and get started if you don't mind. I know we're lagging behind by about 10 minutes, so that's okay. So I'm not sure if those of you that were at the previous session was the ICT collaborative with James Jones and Pierre and gang. But this gentleman here raised a very great point about the importance of business and industry partnerships and how vital it is to any collaborative, whether it's the California ICT Collaborative. We are certainly doing the same in Nevada with a large, what we call TIBA. It's an acronym for Technology Education Business Alliance. And we've got about 370 business and industry partners statewide. And I think it's one of the things that the National Science Foundation has recognized, certainly the BayTech and NTIC centers, and what can we do to help out with regard to all the things that James had presented on cohesiveness with programs. And it's just mind-boggling and startling, just the number of academic programs, department names in ICT, and my own personal opinion is it's a moving target. We can identify a core, but standards are continually changing, and it's just very difficult, and will continue to be difficult to hone in on something that's stationary long enough to transfer to curriculum. Anyhow, my name is Warren Gio. I'm from the College of Southern Nevada, Academic Affairs, and my colleague, Professor Ed Kennett, also from the College of Southern Nevada, which we call CSN. He's the Computer Graphics, Media Technologies Department guru, I should probably say. Anyhow, I'm happy that Ed is joining us.
North Las Vegas.
We're the 4th largest community college in the United States with about 44,000 students. I'm only mentioning that because, as I told a few other people, we ranked pretty much in the, should I say, the 4th quadrant, quartile, as far as educational statistics, sometimes 49 or 50. So, as Ed had mentioned to some of my colleagues here, we can only go up, and there's a lot of truth to that. Don't have a lot of time. I'd like to get your input and springboard off of the June Principal Investigator NSF conference that was sponsored by the American Association of Community Colleges. I partnered with Dr. Judy Fitzpatrick and Dr. David Brown from Bergen Community College in New Jersey and Southwestern College in Southern Cal, which I was glad to see as part of your California consortium. One of the topics there was business and industry partners that they were looking for, and the importance of business and industry partnerships. And so David and Judy asked me to team up with them and come up with an activity where we can emphasize the importance of that connection towards all of our programs, whether it's chemistry, as you saw from the areas that they're from, or biology or mathematics or STEM-based programs. And so the overarching goals of the broadening, and how many of you attended that back in June in Washington, D.C.? A couple of you here. Anyhow, the overarching goals is to share promising strategies and lessons learned in STEM-based programs, development and improvement across NSF divisions, and directories deepen knowledge and depth and diversity of relevant NSF programs, which we always do at these conferences. Develop a community of practice focused on 2-year colleges that encourage collaboration and network building. In essence, get away to STEM here, and that's what we're doing here at the NTIC conference, and I'm glad to see that all of you are participating in sharing best practices. And what we're going to do today is a quick activity. My colleague, Professor Kennett, is going to lead that. And here's 4 questions that we posed back at the NSF, but the NSF Broadening Impact Conference back in June. We wanted to find out the answers to these questions among 300 plus PIs that attended the conference. And so what beneficial support can business and industry partners contribute to your program project center? What can your program or project offer to business and industry partners? We don't often think about what are we giving back to them. It's vitally important for them to give to us curriculum development, professional development, adjunct instruction, and so on and so forth. Keynote speakers, as we've had the benefit of enjoying this morning and yesterday. How does one identify and approach these partners and attempt to build that rapport that's so vitally important to maintaining and again, ultimately giving us that information that's best suited for our programs, for the college, and ultimately our students so that they can go out and be productive in the workforce. What roles do professional organizations, IEEE, think of a few, IEEE, American Education Association, the Association for Careers and Technical Education, some of you mentioned CTE, and on and on and on. What roles do these professional organizations and societies serve in building, supporting, strengthening collaboration? So we'd like to get these answers from you and share them not only with you, but participants that were at the PI conference. So springboarding off of that, we're gathering information. Are there similarities between states, regions, and adding to that pool of data that we had before? We're not going to share that data until we hear from you first. So, Ed?
Hi. We're going to do 14. It says group 1, group 2, group 4 on here, but it lists each of the 4 questions. Okay, so you'll rotate around and write your response to each of these questions. So you're not just writing in group 1, but this is where group 1 starts, okay? In fact, group 3 and 4 for the group, you can join me. Now we're going to move groups or move the paper.
We can move the groups or move the paper. Move the paper. We can more groups.
Oh, sorry. Now you want to keep it? Oh, okay. Okay, so this is what's beneficial?
Your college and which question do you have? Your program. That helps your college. What is your question, Sam? Say training the students. You can say facilities that they may want to do workshop training for their own employees. You can say students that may help out What are you giving back to your school besides graduating? Put that down as well. Well, I can give you a perspective.
It allows us to amplify a message. Instead of having to go through 100 different circles, I want to reach out, so networking and multiply.
They can also offer
I'm hearing some great ideas.
building these companies
as well as established around group NIH storage network. Sometimes it's I don't know about this, but people want to graduate.
from a supervisory to manager level. It's supervisory level.
Yeah, I smell it, yeah. How much? And then we got to make up Remember, we need a spokesperson for each group when we rotate through all the 4 questions. So we're going to rotate questions, and each group maintain their color. Now, all we could do is paste this on the wall. Do you think that might be easier?
Yeah.
Okay, here's some tape here. That way the next group. So now we want to do a rotate right, rotate left, and shift so that everybody, most of your work is going to be on this one here. So the idea is look at the previous question. Is there anything that you can add? Sure. Anywhere the glass is behind. People that are looking at us saying, why are they I've been down there and nobody looking up.
Yeah, I think so.
And let's put some extra blanks there. Maintain your colors so that we can see, like group 2 is red. Yeah, so we can see the changes. Add on, yeah. I remember I got everything. Now you want to look at the other status of looking at.
Internship.
Okay. Wait, nobody lined up. Well, I'm fine. Use the wiki. No, that's another one.
It's going through, it's also right, too hard, it's going through.
Right, okay.
And it might have to come out from the finger.
Why not?
Coming up with okay, so that's,
Yes, we're having the right technology for the work session. Those lines.
Somebody lose their glasses?
That's me.
Almost step on them, they're on the ground here.
Doesn't matter, you can't see anything. No. I think I'm there. Yeah, we're gonna do this.
It might be easier if we put this.
You don't have a problem with that.
We'll use this as a protective, how's that?
Not me for
I'll try not to.
In our last advisory meeting, we had somebody from Berkeley. And they were working on very similar expertise.
hardware, software, where you can just meeting and like, facilities that can mentoring good.
So we could always so we'll combine what and then send it to
while you can.
You may.
And then by industry, and a half of the top, it used to be, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they bring that information back to the college and
See, I'm saying some stuff that's totally unique, that is so obvious, but it wasn't on the PIs. Like standards here. Professional organization standards, it's like, that wasn't put down before.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. There's so obvious. I just want standards.
A whole bunch of intelligent people.
You want to keep it? We want to see all four colors on these, so.
That's a good one.
yeah.
I like the drop here. We'll get that picture. Let's say that as a JPEG file. Pretty bad. We don't get everything.
Take about 2 more minutes, and then the spokesperson for your group will just review your original question.
Do the buses put fence on an airplane?
One time in the lecture, and I for 2 hours this thing, and he was eating, and a little water even. And at the end of the thing, I had no idea. I couldn't see the people that he was. That's right. Sneezing
We'll do a spell check on these. Okay, does each group have a spokesperson? Should we have just have a spokesperson. Group 1.
Your spokesperson is going to give a summary for your group's additional questions. So you want to make sure your group understands all the comments made on that first question that you put down. Okay? So take a minute or two, if you haven't already, and read over all the comments.
We'll start off with group 1 first.
Oh, group 2 now. I'm going to give you 5 minutes each.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Well, on the average. So we're going to go over our group stuff?
Read our section.
Yeah, I think if you can read it, that would be fantastic as opposed to summarizing. So we'll give you 4 or 5 minutes each. And then we'll
So
about that time. Go ahead. The object is to get everybody to look at the answers for each of the 4 questions. We'll write up all of this, combine it with what we did back in DC, and then send it to you. Here's my business card. Ed and I will put the email address on there.
Okay.
and you can contact us. So group one.
Can you go back to
What?
the first slide?
I'll wait for
I
questions.
can't, you can?
Okay.
The first question was, what beneficial support can business and industry partners contribute to your program or department?
And of course, we said, first of all, we're always looking for hiring our students. And the second thing is serving on our advisory councils. We need people on there that allows us to determine the skill sets needed for new hires. We rely on them for our internships. The other thing we pointed out is they also direct us towards increased industry standards which we may not know about. We recently had Robert Half. When we were talking to him, they told us about some international standards that we were unaware of that we'd be putting into our curriculum that stuff like TMIs and stuff like that. So those are good things that we would not know of in education. And we also brought up the skill sets needed for different levels in it. Entry-level, mid-level hire, high-level hires, we focus on different groups. And the other thing we brought up was about retraining for current members or incumbent workers. We had a budget changes between Office 2007 and Office 2010. Retraining, we do retraining for the tax preparers in our area for the tax laws each year with our business department. So we do retraining on that. And the other things that we can do for them directly. So they tell us the skills they need, and sometimes we actually provide them the training they also need.
And then group, Virginia wants to go to go.
You might as well go in numerical order.
Okay, and our question is, what kind of program or project offer to businesses and industry partners? So we came up with trained students because depending on especially the needs, we can offer workshop training, facilities for training and seminars, which is good for the college because they can earn extra income, right? They're all looking for that. Internships. We always say that, hey, what can you offer our students, right? So we can provide our student base, and typically I only send my A and B students for my job referral, you know. A good citizenship, employability, partnerships, and grant projects we felt was relevant to this, as well as staff training in organized ways, okay? Collaborative education and employment opportunities. An example would be my help desk class has a lot of students that are interested because it's part of our new customer support degree and certificate program. Well, a local company in Antioch calls me up every semester, hey, send students. Last year they asked for 49 of my students. This last December they said, hey, you got 30 students for January? And I just sent out emails last, and you know, this is $14 an hour, no degree, 5 minutes away from campus. Yeah.
That's a good partner.
Yeah.
That's great when they come to you as opposed to us seeking them out.
That's right. So we want to develop more of that and share that with other colleges that do that same model. Okay. Training the specific needs of the business. A lot of people are trying to come up at 2003 office, right? And get up to speed at 2010. Customer input from students' perspective. Recruitment of highly competent students, again, the A and B students. Invitation for colleges to invite industry to join the advisory board. When we developed our advisory board, I didn't just go after the IT sector. I went after healthcare, manufacturing, East Bay Mud, the water company, right? So everybody has IT in their industry, so I went across sectors, healthcare, right, and recruitment, and we were pretty successful at that. The reason I did that, they were going to shut down our department. They were like, come up with a program, or you guys are going to be jobless. And so we had like, you know, less than a year to pull it together, and we came up with 3 degrees and certificate programs. Those were on the college. So we had an SB 70 grant, but I would have done it for free. Yeah, that's
Very good, thank you.
okay.
Group 3. All right.
How I can help me out. Okay. So how to identify approaches and industry entities appropriate for building partnerships with academic and technician education programs. You know, depending on where you are, this can be a real challenge. You know, I'm in a very rural area. You know, we don't. I mean, businesses use technology, but there's not a lot of high-tech businesses in the northern area. You know, although they do use it, you know, and so it's been creative in terms of you know, we've had to actually create some of the market in terms of encourage businesses to use technology, like, you know, apps for identifying wines. Well, we're in the wine country. Well, that makes it's appropriate, okay? And so, you know, they you know, come around and okay, anyway. So, you know, working with the state offices to connect industry with education. Okay, obviously, you know, that's one of them. Asking businesses to serve on advisory councils. We're coming up with that with the big one. That's a big challenge sometimes to get the business to identify it. You know, find who in a business, you know, to different company to contact. So, you know, how to go about doing that, you know, rather than just making a phone call, you know, identifying who the players in there, you know, encouraging to do it, and what's in it for them. And that's what you have to do is identify what's in it for them. Soliciting from businesses what they need, what they want the college to provide to help their businesses grow and develop. And you know, that's probably what I found is the most strongest one. You know, trying to ask them, you know, what do you want the graduates, or what do you want people who've taken a course here, you know, what kind of skills do your people in your business right now, or the ones you're going to hire next year, what skills do you want them to have? And so, you know, next one was identifying who are the movers and shakers in the business community. You know, every community has that, you know, where you have a couple of key businesses who are, you know, the ones who everybody pays attention to, listens to, and you know, that's always a key there. And then asking them, you know, many times getting those movers and shakers to identify other people in other businesses and other organizations that you could pull onto an advisory council or solicit, you know, for help in terms of ideas and suggestions and things like that. And soliciting business partnerships as sponsors, guest lecturers, internships, of course, you know, getting them involved. You know, it's amazing. You go to businesses and sometimes they don't know that there's a community college in the community, you know. And then, you know, you go to them and you say, well, we want to provide something. We're not going to charge you anything. We want to provide. We're going to give you something, you know, a service, you know. And I mean, it seems, you know, we're all in the industry. Of course, we know that there's a college in our community, but how many times, you know, they don't know where the college is, you know, what it provides, what they can provide. So that's an important thing. So
that's an especially tough question for. It's almost something that you leave for foundations, public relations to do, is maintaining that before identifying where it should be made at. And yet I have heard deans give that to faculty as directed. You will go out, connect with business and industry partners, identify them, and maintain that partnership. The main question is, what's in it for them?
One of the big ones that we didn't put on here is every college has board of directors. You go to them, you know, you go to the meeting and you say, hey, this is what we need. It's your job to give it to us. Give us those connections, you know, and many times they are already business people then, you know. So I didn't put that on there, but yeah.
You're all welcome to work through your lunch too. Number 4.
Okay, so from my perspective, I'm going to speak for myself. In New Hampshire, the university system has been cut by 45% by the legislature, budget-wise. And the community college system is not that much too. These are desperate times. Some people would say they're challenging times. So, what is the role of professional societies and organizations in supporting collaboration? And again, from my view, you have to be very careful here, because professional societies can't be looked at as leaning toward one particular business or industry over another, so one has to be careful. So we thought that indeed the professional societies can increase the business message, no doubt about that, for sure. And I would also say some reciprocal arrangements that community colleges, institutions of higher education can also influence and connect to business through professional societies. another aspect here is that professional society can provide leadership in change and become meaningful change agents. So I think that's possible depending upon the vigor of the leadership in professional societies. The ones I'm most familiar with, ACM, IEEE, CS. Just comments from me. One of the important aspects of professional society is to help develop and maintain standards. And so we all look to, I think, for curriculum, guidelines for professional.
Completely overlooked by the previous 38 people from the previous group. I mean, the obvious there. But there's plenty of other stuff here that contributes to the data.
Yeah, and that's very important. I know in our place we always look at the professional guidelines. Not that we adopt them whole cloth, but we do. Advisory boards, they can obviously provide conduit to industry and business advisory boards. We try to do a little visual here. The professional society is the hub of the wheel. The spokes are the connections between the professional society and both the community colleges or institutions of higher education and business and industry. And so I think, again, one has to be very careful with professional societies who's got to profess neutrality when it comes to vendors and the like, but I think there's a big place for that.
Well, I strongly feel that all faculty members should be in tune to the answers to every one of these 4 questions, especially given the struggling times, economic times that we're in right now. As I said earlier, that some administrators have made that perfect where faculty members go out and make connections with business and industry. And what is it that should be embedded in our curriculum? Ultimately, as I said before, to ensure the integrity of our programs, the institution, the department, and ultimately the students are leading with skills that suit those very people at hiring. So it's very important to stay connected, and we're hoping to share all this information when it hashes us out tonight, and as to the other data that we've got from back east, we'll share that with you. Our email addresses are up here. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to share your best practices and knowledge with us, and that'll contribute to, I guess, the overall just of what we're trying to do in the conferences, and that's share best practices.
If you want to use your card or your email